Hello, my name is Alex Iles, and in today's episode we're going to talk about what possibly was the first Viking raid on the British Isles. Welcome back. So, in today's episode, as I've already mentioned, we're going to be talking about what was possibly the first raid on the British Isles. And you're probably thinking, well, Alex, you're talking about Lindisfarne. Well, actually, in this episode, I'm not. I'm going to be talking about another conflict between Scandinavians and Anglo-Saxons that was earlier than Lindisfarne, but we'll talk about it more in a second. If that's piqued your interest and you're already interested in learning more, then why don't you subscribe to the channel, because I've got plenty more content just like this and I think you'll enjoy it here. So, why don't we begin? Just to start off with, by the way, I chose this suitably romantic image of Vikings in the background because I thought it was suitable and actually quite funny in its own way. I love the way that the 19th and 20th century depicted Vikings and how this is sort of quite a romantic view of these Scandinavians arriving. But actually isn't too bad. Obviously some of their kit isn't great, but I do quite like it nevertheless. It's quite a funny one in its own way, especially with the massive brass strap across the top there. But that's getting off topic. The first raid was actually possibly down in Dorset. And when you've got this first raid in Dorset, it's in 787 AD. What happens is a group of Scandinavians arrive on the coast and they don't pull up on the shore where there is an appropriate location for trade. Now this is going to sound a little bit odd, but in the past you would actually have specific locations where you could actually trade, and you'd be able to pull up on a beach, market days would be declared, people would come down and they'd buy and sell and trade with you. And generally in Anglo-Saxon they are referred to as wicks, W-I-C. So for instance, some famous ones in the northeast of England, we've got Berwick, Alnwick, places like that. And those wick endings are trading posts. And so you had a legitimate location where you could trade. And that meant the site could be properly taxed, it could be officiated, there would be local law enforcement if there needed to be, all of those sort of things as well to enable for trade and commerce to go ahead. Just like today, if you're doing business, you need to be insured, and also, when you're trading, you have to make sure that you've got the correct health and safety documents, you've got to make sure that your building is suitable and that you're paying the correct tax, because obviously tax is something that all of us have to deal with. So in the past, they had their own structures as well that enabled for legitimate business practices to go ahead. So because of this, when the Scandinavians pull up on the beach and it's not a legitimate wick, suddenly they call for the reeve. So the reeve rides down, and his name is Bieduherd. And when he rides down, he then confronts the Scandinavians and he starts speaking in an authoritative tone as it's written in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. Now it's more likely that he turned up on the beach and he suddenly just went, "What are you doing here? This is not an official wick. This is not an official trading post. What is going on? You are trying to trade illegally. What's going on?" And he just keeps going on and on and on again against the Scandinavians. Now when he keeps doing this over and over again against them, obviously, this winds them up a little bit. And so because of that, they turn around and they just kill him. And they just kill him on the beach, they get back in their boats and they leave again. And so this has often been considered as a possibility of one of the first raids on the British Isles. But it's not like the raid on Lindisfarne. And in fact, it's probably instead a failed trade mission. What's going on here is likely that they've turned up to trade and they don't know, or maybe they've been washed further inland, or maybe they haven't been able to park on the official place. Alongside this as well, they may have not known when the official trading days were, and they've just turned up without any knowledge of what's going on, and instead faced this annoyed civil servant who seems to be a wee bit on his high horse, and in fact probably was still on his horse, and actually has come down riding like you can't imagine, at real sort of breakneck speed right down to the wick, and has now started having a massive go on them. The other interesting thing here is it doesn't say that they were not able to communicate. It just says in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle that he spoke in an authoritative tone to them. So again, it shows that there's a shared common language. They have maybe just dialect differences between them. And he's able to really chew them out, give them a hard time, just say, look, this isn't acceptable. What you're doing here is wrong. You're trying to evade tax or trying to, do incorrect business or something like that. And so he really has a go at these Scandinavians, and they just don't put up with it. They're just like, we're not going to put up with this. This isn't acceptable. And so because of that, they kill him. And so I see it more as, rather than a raid, as a failed trade mission. And when it's a failed trade mission, they've turned up, they've gone home, and they've just been like, oh, you should have seen that guy at that last place. We turned up to sort of do business, and he just came and just chewed us out. And he was an absolute, unpleasant so-and-so. I think you know exactly what word I would have liked to insert there in that sort of thing. But they probably went home, told everyone about it, or maybe even went to another location where there was a wick or there was a trade day, or maybe went to Ireland or another kingdom, successfully traded and went home. So there's an interesting one there. And so in 787, that is when a reeve of the King of Wessex is killed by Scandinavians, and it's possibly put down by some historians as being one of the first raids on the British Isles. I hope you found this video interesting. It's been a shorter one today, I know, but it's still an interesting one, at least to look at these little things, because it takes more of the interesting sort of bits of Anglo-Saxon history where you can see official trading sites, where you can see, the rules and regulations, tax, cultural understandings, cultural misunderstandings, and how this all worked out during this period of the early Middle Ages. If you have enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe, share the videos with your friends, and if you'd like to support me further, in the description below I've got a Patreon and a Ko-fi account, so if you want to financially support me you can do there, but no pressure whatsoever, just if you'd like to. In the meantime though, stay safe and well, and thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in another video in the near future.